to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we start, I'd like to welcome Josh Butler, our newest board member, just got sworn in by the mayor and joining us. We're looking forward to work with you.
Thank you.
Welcome. First thing, roll call, please. I'm sorry.
Mr. Ashcraft?
Present.
Mr. Gaelic?
Here.
Mr. Howe?
Here.
Ms. Rotobeck?
Yes.
Mr. Butler?
Here.
Thank you. Old business, we have this tabled item, VA 19-002. Is that to remain tabled?
That's correct. I believe we determined earlier when we tabled this that it was going to be tabled until the end of the year.
That's correct.
However, we haven't heard anything from the applicant yet. Their case with the Licking County Courts is still pending, I believe. We haven't had any updates on it yet.
So at this point, we're gonna obviously consider it tabled into January. Do you think we'll be having an update next month?
I can't say for sure. It's been all quiet on their front. So.
Well, quiet's good.
When it comes off the table, it doesn't get quiet.
That's exactly right, especially that one. Okay, then we don't need to make any motion or anything on that, right? It just stays
That's
tabled.
correct.
Okay. Then new business, we have variance application VA 19-023. Going to turn it over to the staff for your staff report.
We need, this one was tabled last month. Do we need to bring it off the table?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, then we need a motion to bring it off the table because we did have it tabled last month.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call?
Mr. Ashcraft?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. Gaelic?
Yes.
Ms. Rotobeck? Yes.
That being said,
All right.
turn it over to the staff.
This is VA-19-023. Here's Mr. Roger Sold. The owner is the Pasco Masonic Lodge. Location is unaddressed parcel on Vine Street. Current acreage is 0.20, zoned R7, village single-family residential, and the applicant's requesting approval of a variance from section 1221.05D4 of the Pasco Code to allow for construction of a storage shed on a lot without a principal structure. So if you take a look, here's the area map with the parcel itself outlined in yellow. And a closer look at the parcel, it's currently just a gravel parking lot used for parking by the Masonic Lodge. You've got Vine Street to the east here, or excuse me, west, and First Avenue to the south. So again, the property is 0.20 acres. There's no structures present. It's adjacent to 3 public right-of-ways. To the west, we've got Vine Street, First Avenue to the south. And to the north is an unnamed alley. And there's access into the parking lot from First Avenue and the alleyway. Proposal, section 1221.05D1 states that an accessory structure shall not be located on a lot without a principal structure. There's currently no principal structure on this lot, so a variance is required. The applicant's proposing a storage shed in the southeast corner of the parking lot for storing yard maintenance equipment. So the shed itself is a 10 by 20 or 200 square foot shed, 25 feet from the center line of Vine Street and 25 feet from the center line of First Avenue as indicated on the site plan. No narrative statement was submitted with the application. Here's a look at the site plan that was submitted. So we've got the long 20 side facing to the west. Excuse that, it's not the right direction. 10 feet facing to the south and 25 feet from the center line of the road. Here's a look at the proposed structure. And so the following stuff here is from our last month's hearing. I'm not going to dwell on it, but it's here for reference in case we need it. So for this month's hearing, the applicant submitted revised plans clarifying the measurements of the shed as 10 feet by 20 feet, 200 square feet. So this is below the maximum 696 square feet that is permitted by section 1221.05D1. For lots under 2 acres in size, you take in the gross acreage of the lot and plug it into a formula, and that gives you what the maximum permitted square footage for accessory buildings is. So as there's no existing structure on the property, the accessory building must meet the front yard setback of the R7 district, which is 25 feet. appears to have been a misunderstanding between the applicant and staff. The applicant identified the shed as being set back 25 feet from the center line of the road. However, setbacks are determined from the property line. So this would place the building near the center of the property, and staff still recommends meeting that 25-foot front yard setback from Vine Street and First Avenue to alleviate any potential visibility problems at the intersection there. The right-of-way on both Vine and First Street is 50 feet, so if the shed was 25 feet from the center line of the road, it would be right on the property line. So with a 50-foot right-of-way, you take the center line, and it's 50 or 25 feet on either side of that. So section 122105E1 states that accessory buildings shall be a minimum of 5 feet from the property line. So just did this simple graphic here showing the center line of the road, 25 feet from that, and then a further 25 feet from the property lines from all sides, where there's right of way in this red shaded area, which would be able to place the shed somewhere in this unshaded area without requiring another variance. We routed this to the other departments' agencies. We've not received any comments on it. Surrounding properties to the north, east, south, and west, it's all zoned R7, village single-family residential. To the north is the Masonic Lodge and some single-family homes, and to the east, south, and west are more single-family homes. Here are your findings of fact that are also printed there in your staff report. And should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, the following conditions may be considered. First one being the applicant shall construct their accessory building as submitted within 1 year of the date of approval. 2, the applicant shall revise the plans to meet the required 25-foot front yard setback from all public rights of way. And 3, the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Tascala and the Lincoln County Building Department prior to construction of the accessory building. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Guess I'm kind of confused. The setback is 25 feet from the property line.
Correct.
So why are we discussing from the center of the road?
So the applicant had I think there was a misunderstanding with the setback. So they measured the setback as being from the center line of the road, not from the property line. And with the right-of-way on those streets being 50 feet, it's the road, the center line of the road's right in the middle of that, so it'd be 25 feet on either side for that total of 50. So to get an approximation of where the property line is, you just go from the center line of the road 25 feet out is where the property line begins, and then it'd be a further 25 feet for the setback after that. So they measured it as 25 feet from the center line of the road, which would actually put it right on the property line.
Okay, gotcha. I don't think I have any more questions. Anybody have any questions?
No.
Was there any feedback from the neighbors?
No, we did not receive any comments from the neighbors.
Okay.
Does it matter how close it is to the neighboring property line or just from the road setback?
So that 122105E1, I believe it was, that states that accessory structures have to be at least 5 feet off the property line if the property's under 2 acres. So it would just have to be 5 feet off of the neighboring property to the east.
Okay, is that Mr. Salt? Is this your application?
No, yeah, I'm on, I guess, that was a surprise to me. I'm Bob Peters. Roger had something else to do tonight.
Okay, if you have any testimony, if you could step up, we'll swear you in.
Oh, sure.
Look at Lisa, she'll swear you in.
Raise your right hand, please.
Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Good.
Yeah, if you could go there and then just give us your name and address for the record.
All right, Bob Peters, 6532 Beecher Road, Granville, Ohio. I also own the property, you might have noticed, across the street on the north side. So I got a letter about that, it kind of surprised me. But at 92nd Avenue, also in that.
Okay. So you don't have anything to do with it, that's just the letter, you're a neighbor?
No, I was on the application.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Do you understand the difference on the measurement, the 25
Yes,
feet?
he explained to me basically what we do from the center line, 50 feet, and you got it, yeah.
Will there be any concern
Well-
relocating it to the right measurements?
No, actually, that's where we intended to put it all along. The picture, he just simply drew it on the wrong side.
Okay.
He got, I would say he got his directions messed up, and that's easy to do.
And that's what happened last time?
But,
You were-
yeah, and see, the thing with it is, once you, deal with this, the lot's only 50 foot wide, we're gonna be pretty close. So, that's kinda, I just find it kinda humorous. But, you know, it's like how you squeeze it in, but, and so, yeah, so it's, okay with me, just the way we, talked about earlier, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, so I understand then out of 50 foot, and, yep.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Peters?
No.
Nope.
Anything else that you wanted to say, Mr. Peters?
No, that's about it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
That being said, is there any more questions? Because we can go right to findings of fact, I guess, on this.
I'm good.
Okay, we'll do the findings of fact. Whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return, or if there can be a beneficial use of the property.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Say yes. B, whether there are unique physical circumstances or conditions that prohibit the property being developed in strict conformity with the zoning regulation, such that a variance is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property.
Yes.
Say no? I'm saying yes on that.
Okay, so yes.
I'd
Anyone
say
else?
yes also.
Okay. Yes, it is then. Whether the variance requested is substantial?
No.
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 No. Whether the essential character of the neighborhood will be substantially altered, or the adjoining properties would suffer substantial detriment as a result of the variance.
No.
No.
E, whether the variance, if granted, will substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of the adjacent property.
No.
No. Okay, and F, whether the variance, if granted, will be detrimental to the public welfare.
No.
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 Say no. G, whether the variance, if granted, would adversely affect the delivery of government services.
No.
No.
No. H, whether the property owner purchased the subject property with knowledge of the zoning restriction.
No. It's unclear. I
Probably
guess, at
not.
this
Yeah,
time.
I'd say no, yeah.
I'd say no.
But the zoning's probably changed since it was purchased.
Yeah. We'll say no, though I'm not sure that we're really aware.
Right.
I, whether the property owner's predicament can be obviated through some other method than variance.
No.
No.
J, whether the variance if granted will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and represent the least modification possible of the requirement at issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. K, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That being said, we have yes for A, B, J, and K, and then no for letters C through I. Sir? Any other discussion from the board?
No.
No.
Okay, would someone like to then make a motion?
I move to approve the variance from section, for this, section 1221.05 D4 of the Pataskala Code for the variance application VA 19023 with the following conditions. Number one condition, the applicant shall construct the accessory building as submitted within 1 year of the date of approval. Two, the applicant shall revise the plans to meet the 25-foot yard setback from all public right-of-ways. And three, the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the City of Pataskala and Licking County Building Department prior to construction of the accessory building.
Thank you. We have a motion for Mr. Ashcraft. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And second from Ms. Rodenbeck. Any discussion?
No.
Can we call for a vote?
Mr. Gaelick,
Yes.
Mr. Butler,
Yes.
Ms. Rotobeck,
Yes.
Mr. Ashcraft,
Yes.
Mr. Howe.
Yes. Thank you. Then the motion, or the variance passes. Mr. Peters, if you could let Mr. Salt know that it passes.
I will.
Staff will get back with you in due course here and let you know what the next steps would be.
You can give us a call if you want. Very good.
You
Thank
are-
you.
You're welcome to
Thank
stay
you
if you
very
like,
much.
or you can. Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Happy holidays to you.
You bet. Same to you guys.
Thank you.
As much.
Okay. Then, the next item on the agenda would be to approve the findings of fact for VA 19-023. I will move to accept them. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Can we call the roll, please?
Ms. Rotobeck,
Abstain?
Mr. Butler,
Yes.
Mr. Gaelick,
Yes.
Mr. Ashcraft,
Yes.
Mr. Howe.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is reapproval of the November 12th regular, or the meeting minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to review them?
Yes.
Is there any comments, questions, additions?
No.
And can I have a motion to accept them as written? Motion.
I'm here.
Okay, so we have a motion for Ms. Rodenbeck. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a motion, or a second for Mr. Gaelick. Can we have the call, roll call, please?
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Ashcraft,
Abstain.
Ms. Rotobeck,
Abstain?
Mr. Butler,
Abstain.
Mr. Gaelick,
Yes.
I hate when this happens.
Can I actually make a motion on if I was not here?
I just think
to
that's it.
approve?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
But we only have 2 yes votes.
Okay, motion
Well, Mr.
passes.
Howe.
I don't know that it passes.
What's that?
We should be able to.
Oh.
Can
Would
I,
like to change their vote to a yes?
You got Mr. Howe
I can
That's
do
it.
yes.
and Mr. Gaelick, and then she changed her vote.
Well, I can,
If you need
I
a
will
yes,
change it.
I'll change mine to yes,
Yeah,
but
it's
makes,
no big deal. I just didn't know since I wasn't.
I wasn't here, so.
I wasn't either.
I-
so-
I'm pretty sure you can do it. I'll double check.
Okay. It all looks good.
It looks like.
Sounds like a good meeting, right?
Yeah,
You still
yeah.
have 3 votes.
Great.
No, we only have
Yeah,
2.
we
Two,
only have two.
'cause Josh knew.
But we're not, nobody voted no, so it'd still be 2
The
to,
majority, and majority's 3.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, just to make it official, I'll change my vote, whether it's right or wrong, to yes. That way you'll have 3.
TJ already did.
Well,
So we
that's
got 4
okay.
then.
Now
We
you got
have 4 now. If I can vote yes, you can vote yes
I
also.
say we got
Even
plenty of
though we
votes.
weren't-
I don't think we're gonna be challenged on this.
I
Alright,
think so either.
I think it's the same.
that'll be a first, won't it?
Right?
That's true.
Wow. Okay, I think that passed. All right, next on the motion, or on the agenda would be excuse of absence for Bruce and TJ from the November 12th meeting. Can we do them both at one time?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Then I move to accept excuse of absence from Bruce Ashcraft and TJ Roadback from the November 12th meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion?
No.
And can we call the roll? Here we go again.
Mr. Ashcraft,
Yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Butler,
Yes.
Mr. Gaelick,
Yes.
Ms. Rotobeck.
Abstain. You had your vote.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Make it fun.
That being said, do we have other business, the 2020 hearing calendar review? And I think everyone got a copy, both via email and here today.
So I had a chance to review that. If you notice, we switched the meetings back to Tuesday evening. There was simply a lot of conflicts with council, them sometimes they'll wanna have,
that's fine.
special meetings or committee
Right.
meetings on Mondays.
Makes sense.
And even with staff's kind of scheduling, everything was set up for second Tuesday of the month, BZA, first Wednesday of the month, Planning and Zoning Commission, so it kinda, it really threw a wrench into our process to kinda adjust everything around, so.
Oh, it's good if it's easier on staff.
It just made it difficult with, trying to get it to the newspaper and
that's-
trying to get it
Right,
out.
It was on Mondays because of Rob, right?
right, yeah,
Right.
yeah, his classes.
Yeah.
Do we know when, does August 11th fall during the Hartford Fair? Was that,
What's that, sorry?
August 11th, is that falling during the Hartford Fair, do we know? I don't have my phone on
I
me.
have no idea when the
Is-
fair is.
Yes,
I
It
would
is.
guess yes.
Okay.
yeah.
So that means you won't be here. You
Yeah.
already plan on
So we got
Right.
another excuse for absence.
Right, right. So it's,
You just wanna
You've
vote
had
on-
plenty of time
you
to
wanna
do
vote
the
to
fair.
accept your absence?
I only have 4 more years and it's over, so.
Oh, yeah, right.
Then I don't have to do it anymore. But it's a good moneymaker for my kids, so,
Good.
yeah.
Well, if that's the only conflict, that's not too bad.
Right? And majority,
Yeah,
3.
well, just three to be here. As long as it's nothing super contentious.
Yeah, right.
Well, I know there's a big run on the fair, so I just wanna make sure the board members,
So do we need to vote on this?
No, I believe we'll adopt that at the January hearing, but this is just for
preliminary.
your all information, preliminary. If you look over and notice there's any other conflicts, feel free to let us know.
Okay.
So, check our work for us,
Okay.
make sure we didn't put it on a holiday or anything.
Thank
We
you.
got it all right.
Then other business, I would like to just kind of bring up the I guess the question of governance of this committee. As I'm the co-chair, vice chair, I don't know if that means I'm automatically thrust into the chair position, or if I have no problem letting someone else take it.
I think for the purposes of this hearing, we just operated without a chairman,
Okay.
since we'll be at the organizational hearing in January.
So in January, we
In
will actually
January, we'll
nominate and vote for officers.
nominate and vote for officers and adopt the
And
schedule,
that way we can
so
put Bruce in.
I was
Bruce
say
is-
Bruce is gonna volunteer.
keep it in the back of your heads. If you want to be chairman,
Okay,
January is the time to do it.
perfect. That being said, is there any other business that anyone wants to bring up?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
And can I have a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Nope.
Nope.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Ashcraft,
Yes.
Mr. Gaelic,
Yes.
Mr. Butler,
Yes.
Ms. Ritterbeck.
Yes. I think that's
Then,
the second.
here we go. Meeting adjourned.